What's up, everybody? It is Flashwing. Welcome to the second installment of the street riding survival tips. Thank you very much for the support on the past video. You guys have posted some really good comments, some very generous thank yous, and some great suggestions. Today, we're going to be encountering for new riders, one of the scarier parts, which is riding on the freeway. And when you ride on the freeway, the scariest time to ride is during rush hour. You got a mixture of people with no lights on. And I just simply want to emphasize that at the end of the day, you have to ride the way that makes you the most comfortable. I don't encourage you to do anything on your motorcycle simply because someone else, even if it's me, tells you to do it. Ride how you feel comfortable. That's the most important thing, because when you do that, you're more likely to be more aware and more confident, which is also a big one. So right now, I'm keeping my eye on the left lane right here. I'm looking for cars that could potentially decide that they want to enter my lane. Let's talk about mirrors for just one moment. I know a lot of people complain that sport bikes, all they do is sport bike mirrors, they just stare at your shoulders, and mine are not adjusted really good because I keep bumping into them, but most people, including drivers, have their mirrors adjusted improperly. Mirrors are not made for looking directly behind you. Now, the one exception is you do need at least one mirror on your bike to be able to look directly behind you, which my left one does that, because of course I can do the lean, and when I do the lean, I can see through underneath my armpit and what's behind me. Otherwise, you want the mirrors pointed to the sides as much as possible, because the idea is the mirror is supposed to see in the lane next to you, because if you're getting ready to change lanes, you want to be able to glance at your side mirror to see if anybody is beside you. You don't want to merge right into them. Mirrors are not to look directly behind you. You want to look directly behind you, you can always turn around and look. And in fact, I will post the federal guidelines for correct mirror placement in the description below. Now, in addition to that, you guys notice that I do have the really small mirrors on the edges, and people have asked me if they work. The answer is yes, sometimes they work. Because they're so small, I don't get a real clear picture of what exactly is next to me, but it does allow me to see an extreme lane over, so not the closest lane, but the next lane over. And the process of doing that just basically allows me to give quicker glimpses as to what the status of traffic is to my right or left. But one of the things I do like to do, and it has actually saved my butt a couple times, is when I do move lanes, I will just hop the line. With a few exceptions, I won't usually sweep across the other side of the lane, just in case someone is coming up behind me fast. Gives them room to go around me. I'd rather they come close than actually run into me. So here we go. Traffic is starting to back up. We're getting close to the 51. So we're just going to start giving the bike a little swerve. Again, let's talk about lane placement. If you guys notice where I'm at, I'm right on the edge here. Now, if you want to sit on the left side, that's fine. You can do the same thing. But the idea is, if the traffic in front of me decides they want to slam on the brakes, look at all this room I've got right here. And I tend to be a little bit more extreme in the sense of, like, I'll get right up on the quarter panel of a car. But being rear-ended is certainly a concern. People not paying attention. But to be honest, right now, there's not a lot of danger. We're moving really slow. One of those good times for you to practice your balance, your slow riding skills. I'll take this moment to talk about another major tip. I don't know why I didn't even think about proposing this right away. Top 2 highway survival tips. Number 1, wear your gear. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? You want to survive on the freeway? Wear your gear. Especially on the freeway. The speeds are higher, there's concrete barriers, there's all sorts of stuff out here that can get you killed. Wear your gear. Greatest chance of survival right there. Number 2 is look ahead. When you're a new rider, and even some experienced riders, we have a tendency to keep our head down. You know, we're looking at what's right in front of us. You know, I'm looking at this car. I'm looking maybe at the car in front of him. But I'm talking about looking where like that bus is up there. Looking ahead is probably going to be one of the single greatest tools that you can use to stay safe on the freeway. And it is hard. It's not easy because you're used to looking in front of yourself, you know, to maintain lane position, and you're looking for road hazards and things like that. And you still need to do that. That's important. But you need to find a time in the midst of your routine, checking mirrors, checking your speed, you know, when you're going through that normal routine, to always give a look up. And I'm talking about looking 1/8 of a mile, 1/4 of a mile, however far you can look. You want to look ahead as far as possible, because when you do that, traffic on the freeway telegraphs quite a lot. You know, think of it like body language, but it's with cars, okay? You can typically see way in advance when something is going to happen. People are putting their brakes on, maybe there's a lot of smoke, maybe people are swerving, any number of like serious disasters, you know. Looking ahead guarantees that you're going to see that stuff way in advance. So it shouldn't be any surprise when someone puts their brakes on in front of you, or if, you know, someone changing lanes, things like that, because typically a lot of that will be telegraphed and you can see a lot of it coming, especially when it comes to people slamming on their brakes. Now, there are times when you're driving, not when you're riding, but when you're driving, where it can be difficult to see ahead because the vehicle in front of you obstructs your view. One of the big advantages, especially on sport bikes, is you typically sit much higher. You know, so I got a Ford Fusion next to me. The roof of that car comes up to about my shoulders. So I can see above that car. The only thing I can't see right now is in front of the Ford Explorer, which is in front of this Cadillac. But look down there, okay? I mean, this is kind of a great example. So if I was coming over this hill at full speed, you know, so 65 miles an hour, I'm looking down there. I want to see what's going on down there. Now, I have the height advantage, and that's okay because we want to use that. I'm looking at the ramp, I'm looking at the conditions, and if people are slamming on their brakes and stuff down there, I'm going to prepare for that. But if you can look where that bus is, typically you're going to do real well, because, you know, the bus starts slamming on its brakes and you're looking and you're like, I see 1, 2, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars, and as they start all getting on their brakes, then you're going to be perfectly prepared for it. You can back off, give yourself some following distance, and make sure that if you still have to lay into your brakes, that you've got plenty of room to stop. Oh man, this is a nightmare. I think I'm going to bail off as soon as possible. We're going to get off on 3rd Street. Hey, somebody on their phone. Now I'm getting off on 3rd Street. I don't know I can't remember if this lane ends. Someone else on their phone. Yes, it does. Okay, so signal time. And I'm just going to do alley-oop. One other telegraph tip, and this can apply to driving too. When people change lanes and they happen to be very close to the person in front of them, it is in my experience that they will do that because they have plans. They will do that because they do not plan on being in that lane very long. So you move from the center lane to the left lane, and you move very close to the person in front of you in that left lane, so you slide in behind them real close. Chances are it's because they do not intend to be there very long, which means they're going to move over. Now that guy signaled, that worked out really well. They don't always do that. So if you see people moving over and they move very close behind another vehicle in front of them, watch them closely, because it's very likely that they plan on just moving over and then moving over again. Stuff like that. I mean, people do have body language with the freeway. We're actually going to get off, so I'm moving over and I'm going to go around. Can I just like, I'm just gonna flip a bitch right here. Yeah. We're out of here. Another nice tip, when you merge on the freeway, make sure you merge at speed. Don't merge slow, that's how you die. But being aware is the big key. Now, when you're new, riding on the freeway, everything happens so quickly, because when you're in a car, there's a tremendous amount of things that you don't see and you don't experience. You don't experience necessarily the feeling of the wind on you, the smells, the sounds, and you see so much more because you don't have a vehicle around you. And so your senses are overloaded the first few times that you ride on the freeway, and everything feels like it's happening in hyperspeed. And so it can be very difficult to get used to that. And the best thing I can tell you is just simply ride at times that there's not a lot of congestion. I used to go out around 2 or 3 in the morning when I first got the R1, just so that I wouldn't have a lot of traffic, but I wanted to experience the freeway and how the bike felt, but not have to worry about, you know, oh God, everything is happening around me. So I got a guy on my right, and he probably wants the HOV. He's got a radar detector in there, so he definitely isn't going to be afraid of speeding, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up. I don't want to deal with that. Again, we're back to, you know, follow the laws that keep you safe, but if you got to raise your speed a little bit, I mean, we're doing 75, and I'm barely pulling on this traffic. So, I mean, traffic is moving at about 70 on their phone. So that dude was on his phone as he was moving through the lanes. I mean, it's unbelievable. Oh, it smells like dead animal right here.